so we're now recording. So how did you enjoy the book?
It's brilliant. I couldn't put it down. I read it in about 6 hours. It was terrible. Yeah.
So it was really easy.
No, not 6 hours. No, probably about 4 hours. But anyway, I just read it. I had a break. I went to sleep, woke up, read it again. Was late for work. Just straight through. Couldn't put it down. It was. I like Lisa Jewell anyway, but it was really good. Yeah.
That was my first Lisa Jewell book, but I would hesitate to read another of her books. Are they all thrillers?
No, she does love stories usually.
Does she?
I mean, that was sort of a love story, wasn't it? Because there was love, you know, there was a little bit of a love interest at the end and stuff. But no, she usually does love stories, and they're really nicely written. It's quite out of character for her, so it was really good. It was the only thing, and all authors seem to do this, not us did it, is the ending. They rushed the ending and made it a little bit too tied up and nice.
That's what Alison said.
But all books do this. I don't know. It's like authors don't want to disappoint their audience, so you know you get this big build-up. And I thought the way the chapters were, and you dipped into people's lives and got bits of everything, and it was really, really good. And I hated Henry. I really did. I hated him. I still hate him. But you got all that, and then the last chapter. It was also flipping effing perfect because you know. Suddenly she was part of this big family and everything was perfect and she was happily married and everybody got on with everybody, and then Finn appears in the distance, you know, and he's a glorious. No, that the last two chapters really annoyed me, and I just thought, no, you've had this fantastic build-up. It's okay to disappoint your audience. But
what did you think, Sue?
I couldn't put it down. It was great. I enjoyed it immensely.
Sue, what did you think?
I thought it was okay. I did read it. I didn't read it all in one sitting, but obviously in a very short space of time. It was very readable, and it was an okay read. Not something I would go and trip over myself to get. I don't think. But,
no, that's
holiday reading, wasn't it? It was like easy holiday reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a classic, but you know, not nice enough. I mean, I found that it was a page turner, but I was racing. I find when it's a page turner and I'm racing through, I'm perhaps not reading it as properly as I should, because I just want to know what happens. So I'm really, you know, I'm perhaps not digesting every word and reading every word. I'm skimming it to find out what happens. But yeah.
What did you think to it, Ruth?
I really enjoyed it. I did, although I wouldn't have picked it up off a shelf, because with it saying it's a thriller and it's and it's very exciting. I don't tend to read thrillers as a genre, so you know I was waiting for it to be scary, and it wasn't scary. And I was waiting for it to be more disturbing, and it was a bit disturbing. And you know, admittedly, there's difficult, nasty things that go on, but it's very absorbable. It's very, very easy to access that. And no, I enjoyed the characters. I felt that although I was a bit, I only finished it a couple of days ago, and I was a bit disappointed with the adult character of Henry. I was just like, oh, yeah, all right then.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I couldn't reconcile that they got away with murder. They committed murder, or Henry did, and so did his sister, and both of them totally got away with it, and everybody supported them in getting away with murder. That doesn't sit with me. I kept questioning that. I realised.
Yeah, but David, but Thompson's evil. He's got to go. Anyway,
there's lots of evil people in the world.
I know.
To go around
he's taking off all these other people and no. I just left time. Sorry, but yeah. Anyway, Henry's sister, her life was ruined basically. It was. She did suffer, but yeah, I didn't like him because he sort of had no remorse at all. He was just.
They were damaged, though, weren't they? Just as they got away with murder, that then the adults got away with abuse, didn't they? Nobody. So
I felt like it was Lizzie and I read it down at my parents, and we were kind of racing each other. It was quite funny, but we did find it quite tense, and it was quite good to see what happened next, and you know, I quite enjoyed that. But I found Henry quite interesting as a character, in that I felt like he was kind of, he had definite issues as a sort of teenager.
Yeah.
Almost kind of autistic in a way.
Yeah.
And obviously fell in love with Finn, but then he had this kind of wicked side, and I think there was a twist at the end. You were sort of going, no, don't give him a ticket to go to Africa or whatever, wherever it was that he was going. I can't remember where. To Finn. I think the bit, I don't know, I think it was trying to almost draw a sort of picture to give you an idea of what a kind of cult might be like, or how people could isolate themselves and get away with it. I don't know how realistic that was. The bit but I agree with you in terms of the murders. I think in a way the murders, well, I kept thinking of that body on the roof, and I was thinking, well, surely the police would have found the body on the roof. The other one was the domestic violence one with her partner that she killed eventually, and I thought it was very convenient that he belonged to a sort of shady world, so she never got caught doing that. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of it that wasn't that realistic and kind of, but it was I quite enjoyed it. And it was quite quick. I'm actually finding it hard to remember a little bit because it was a while ago.
Yeah.
I think it was a good story, and it had a few characters. The person who I found, I think I was slightly troubled by the fact that Henry was the one that turned out to be, you know, the bad one, and Finn, who had this really controlling father, David. I kind of felt like it should have been Finn that became a bit more controlling and whatever, in a way. But maybe that's just
we didn't really see Finn though, did we? We saw him through Henry's eyes, and then he's this golden figure at the end. So I didn't really. All the other characters were real, but Finn wasn't. He was just this idealized thing in Henry's brain. I didn't get a real flavour that he was a real person, and then he's this unattainable, beautiful ideal as a guide in Africa or wherever it is.
And then Finn's
you don't get
sister.
To meet. You get no resolution with him. So
what happened to Finn's sister? Because she was kind of just that she was brought into the plot because they came in as pets.
She went to live with her mother in Cornwall.
Oh yeah, she went and had a normalish life.
Yeah, because I traumatized and went off.
I thought she was the one who wasn't real. I couldn't tell you anything about her. I didn't feel like I got to know her at all. I thought she was just a convenient plot.
Sorry, which one did you say, Liz?
Sister? What was it?
Clemency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think she was the one I didn't really believe was a person. I felt like I got a feeling of Henry, and I got a feeling of the adult in the film, and I got a feeling of Lucy. I mean, I thought Lucy was the best drawn character.
Yeah.
Both Finn and Clemency weren't real, were they?
No.
We were seeing through other people's eyes. They weren't solid characters. They weren't solid characters at all. No.
She didn't convince me that they were. Everybody else, I could see a bit from their point of view. Even the really, you know, evil deserve to die, according to Ruth. Even him, I believed him. I thought it was. I enjoyed it very much. But it was frustrating. Finn and I've forgotten her name again.
Clemency.
Really want to call her Cassandra. Oh well. Finn and Clemency, I don't think I knew anything about really.
They were paper characters.
Yeah.
It was strange that Lucy was
I read it really quickly too.
I think Georgina's trying to say something. Sorry, Georgina.
I just thought that when you're looking at it when they're young, Lucy almost didn't figure at all, and yet she was such a, as you say, well-drawn character as an adult.
Yeah.
She almost was completely absent in as a young child in that awful household situation, until the sort of
Quite near the end of the
culmination.
book. Yeah.
She was
Henry
almost a
said
non-person completely.
Yeah, Henry said that the two girls were really like that, and they
Yes,
were. But
from
then
the
I said
beginning.
to
There was
Lizzie,
never any dialogue with
I said to
her
Lizzie,
or any-
where are the girls? What are they doing? And
Yeah.
you didn't tell you anything about them at all, didn't it? Yeah,
No.
strange.
Well, this isn't what Lucy Jewell usually writes. She writes kind of love stories, which are really, really good. I've read all her other books, so it's outside her genre anyway.
Oh,
So I
right.
don't know if she wanted to flesh out. Maybe she didn't want to flesh out the characters. Maybe she wanted to write it from Henry's point of view and Lucy's point of view, and that was it. And that's why all the other characters seem a bit one-dimensional, because they're from someone else's interpretation. It's not how she usually writes. So, I really enjoyed the book. I enjoy all her other books, but it's a departure from how she usually writes. So
that's interesting, Ruth, because off the back of this, I bought and read I Found You, and I actually thought it was a very similar style, to the point that I really enjoyed it, but I almost felt it was too similar in style, and I thought, well, I hope, because I've got another one of hers to read. I thought, I hope it's not exactly the same style, because it's a bit one-trick pony.
Okay, I'll have to go back and read. It's been about 2 or 3 years since I've read Lucy Jewell, but I've read quite a few of hers, and
I Found You her most recent.
It's nice, yeah.
I think I Found You is one of the more recent ones. Yeah.
There's been a new release since The Family Upstairs.
It might be that one then. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's interesting because I did tweet her and I asked her if there was any recommended order that I should read her books in, and she said start with the most recent and work backwards.
Really?
It's very responsive on Twitter. I tweeted that the book club had chosen her book and she liked the tweet. I was really pleased.
Yeah, I think she does. She does interact well with her readers. She's responded to several things that I put. So yeah, I think it's nice when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And she's very appreciative of any praise, no matter how small.
Well, I shall post a link to this discussion. So if you want to hear what we've all got to
Just watch what you're saying then.
Oh, we haven't been harsh about her, have we? It's honest feedback.
Her latest book is Watching You.
Ah.
Okay.
Watching You.
Have you read that one, Valerie?
No. I've not heard of her before, but I liked it. It was. I thought it was quite engrossing, and it kept me, the pages turned very quickly, which was a pleasure. Yeah, it's nice to have a comfortable read. And there was things about it that I thought could have been done probably with a bit more skill, but you got a real picture of the villains, didn't you, and the way that they behaved. I thought it was almost a cult, wasn't it? Although they didn't invite strangers in, things that they didn't. Did she say about them when she was ordering milk?
She thought it was a convent.
Yes, and did she speak to them through the letterbox or something?
Yes. Yeah, they were parasites, though, weren't they? The Thompsons.
Oh, absolutely.
They went from place to place, sucking the blood out of each situ.
Yeah.
It was actually really scary to see how the family was sucked in and how they depreciated it as a family. And I agree in being a fun read. I took it on holiday with me, and I read it in about 2 days flat. I stopped down. I really, really enjoyed it.
Because it was was it Henry? No, not Henry. The father, the abuser. David. You say he deserved to die. He was evil. But what about Henry and Lucy's mother? Did she deserve to die?
No, she was pathetic. No,
She was a wishy-washy woman.
She was a wishy-washy. She was hopeless.
Yeah.
She was having a middle-age crisis, wasn't she, or whatever you
They
call
got
it.
away with murder.
Well,
No,
she
she
was
was
a
just a woman who wanted to be
She
seen
was very weak.
and was not getting attention from her husband, and then this charismatic guy turns up. It's the oldest cliche in the book.
well, she was a socialite.
flattered,
She was a kind of socialite that had nothing in her life that she really kind of valued, didn't she? And she wanted to find a greater purpose, and
Yes.
this
Come on, she's
enigmatic
probably
man
in
came
menopause,
along.
and she's probably gone a bit, nuts like we all do. So there we
She
go.
probably was. She got
Hopeless
into
parent.
fighting.
Yeah.
And nobody batted an eyelid when he got a 14-year-old girl pregnant as well.
I know.
Yeah.
Except he didn't get her pregnant.
No,
He didn't, but he obviously
It,
slept
wa-
with
it
her.
wasn't. It wasn't him.
But he had slept with her.
Yeah.
He would have done if he could,
He thought
yes.
it was him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
thought
part way through we were trying to guess whose baby it was, who the baby was, weren't we, Liz?
Yes. Yes.
Kind of
Yeah,
baby.
we thought,
He
yeah.
slept with his own daughter as he slept with it, and we thought we did sort of get round to Lucy, didn't we? We just about guessed it beforehand.
Yeah,
But
it took me a while
Oh,
to
and I should
realise
have guessed that
baby
Lucy had to be the baby, but it was who her mother was, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bit that was
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
unknown, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really sad though, because whoever her father would have been, if it was David Thompson, it would have been this megalomaniac who wanted to impregnate all women, like that guy in Survivors, that 70s program. And then, or it was conceived out of, we want a bit of comfort, so we'll sleep together twice, from Finn. And what a way to be conceived. I mean, God. It turned out so normal, really. But
I think the other thing is we're all women here, and David is really the biggest villain of the piece, I think, in a way. I mean, apart from Henry later on, but the author still had to make Birdie, a woman, one of the biggest villains. I find that interesting.
Now, Birdie was a bit hopeless as well, though, wasn't she? She's a bit.
Well, they sort of almost implied that she was controlling and she was egging him on, and
Well, no, I didn't feel like that. She was.
I think she was sucked in as well.
Wishy-washy and hopeless as well.
I don't know.
Henry hated her.
She took Henry and Lucy's mum's baby and made the mum stay upstairs and breastfeed into a pump and stole the baby, and that was pretty mean. That's pretty, and I think it's just.
She was the whole reason that they landed up in that house, wasn't she? She brought them in. And she was the instigator, for want of a better word, I suppose. No, I didn't like her. I didn't trust her. Yes, she was a bit pathetic in the way that she was easily swayed, but at the same time, I think she had a bit of a power trip. And I think she was a nasty piece of work, I have to say. So yeah, it's interesting that you say, why did Lisa Jewell have to make one of the females one of the main villains? So yeah, that's an interesting point.
It didn't strike me as villainous. She just struck me as being carried along with it all. I didn't feel it. The evil came from her. I felt it came from, the David.
Oh, the evil was definitely David.
Yeah. She wasn't really. To me, she wasn't really a fully fleshed character. I didn't feel that she was evil. I know they said she dictated all of this sort of stuff, but maybe I thought David had probably told her to do it. And she was by him because he had this power over women, whatever. So
she felt like a bit of an airhead to me. Just sort of, she got besotted.
Hippie music.
Yeah.
Did we find out what happened to her first partner? Was it Justin?
Oh, I like Justin.
He went off to Wales, didn't he? In Greece.
Yes.
That was just speculation, wasn't it?
With his herbs, he went off with
Yes,
his herbs.
I kept thinking, where did he go? And couldn't he have told the police or something? But perhaps it wasn't quite as bad by the time he left. But he could have done something about it. And
it was very strange.
He did. He taught Henry how to grow poison.
Well, yeah.
He did his bit.
Very useful.
Justin was great. I'd have gone off with Justin. He was ace. I need to see more of him. So.
But the other mother as well that went off.
Sally.
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 She was finding it.
She just
She was
saw it
funny.
coming and thought, "I'm getting out, mate." You know.
Yeah, left her
She should
children
have,
there.
if she was sensible, she should have got
Yeah.
help for the people left behind, shouldn't she?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
particularly her own, you know, all the
Isn't that
Finn
the
and
typical of an abuse victim,
Paul.
though? You just feel guilty about getting out, and I don't suppose she was really brave of her to get out.
She was probably scared of David.
And maybe she just couldn't do anything else. Yeah.
And she was alcoholic, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was as much as she could do just to look
yes.
after
Not
herself.
surprisingly
Yes.
married to David, really, but there you are.
No. So the drink helped. Yes.
Yes, it would do, wouldn't it? You'd have to have a
Yes.
drink.
Yeah. Why not? Yes.
I thought Lucy's relationship, Lucy, I got the right name, yeah. Lucy's relationship with her eldest boy was very good.
Okay.
Yes.
And her daughter, but
What
yeah.
an existence, though.
Yeah.
Oh, awful.
And the awful scenes with her husband. I wasn't totally convinced that she would have gone to him to ask for help, and I was really worried at the point at which she asked him to get the passports, and then she was going to turn up and sleep with him. I just thought, well, how does she know he's going to get the passports? And I was sure that was going to happen, and it didn't. He actually had got the passports, but
yeah, but it was it was what she was promising him, wasn't it? That motivated him.
But if you're that abusive a man,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she flattered.
Wouldn't you have thought you'd get your way anyway somehow? I don't know.
No, because abusers will give their victims loads of gifts and be really nice to them in the bits when they're being nice. So he would do that, but then flip and, shove her back into broken glass on the kitchen counter as he did.
The problem with that was she'd said earlier that she would, the last person she'd wanted to know that she was going back to England was him. And I kind of thought, and yet that's exactly what she's told him. And I think his character.
Did she tell him that he was going back to London, or did she tell him that they were going?
He was going just temporarily to. I can't remember what the reason was. It was a funeral.
Oh, her friend
was dying.
Yeah.
Do you think
his controlling nature would have wanted some sort of, keep a child or something, or
Well, but then she'd lulled him into feeling very secure, because of how long she'd been away, and she did lie to him very fluidly. And he'd been picking up Marco from school, so I think there was, And
he probably, right, just because someone's abusive doesn't mean they don't love the other person. I know it seems a really weird thing to say, but it's a sort of, Stockholm syndrome, weird sort of thing that, he probably did love her as well.
In his own way.
Carry the torch for her. And then when she, told lies and said she was coming back and she was still interested, then, Because
I can't remember.
Because you're an abuser doesn't mean you don't have feelings. I mean, obviously you're not a very nice person, but it doesn't mean that you don't have feelings for the other person.
It was love, myself. I think it was about control and about. It's like rape's not about sex. I'm not sure that the relationship controls is about. I think it's about control rather than love. Personally, not convinced that it's about love. I think he had genuine feelings for his son.
Well, what do you think was the love story in that book? I mean, for me, it was Henry and Finn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although Finn, obviously,
one-sided.
One-sided.
Yeah.
Oh, come on! What about what's his face, the journalist? Oh, it was quite sweet.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that was going somewhere.
What's his name? Michael?
No, Marshall. Oh God, I forgot his name. It's terrible.
Yes, I can't remember now. It was a strange name.
He Anyway, it was big and hairy, wasn't it?
It was a first name that sounded like a surname.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Was it Marshall?
Miller.
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 Well done.
Well
Miller, in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Who was this? Sorry.
He was lovely
Miller
though,
the
because he stopped writing the story for that was a nice. This is more Lisa Jewell.
Oh,
That's
yes.
the thing that happens in one of her books. So
The journalist.
yeah,
Is that what you mean? All right. Okay.
so that's the sort of thing that happens in her books. Like
although they
you know,
seem like an unlikely match to me.
yeah,
seem to
absolutely.
know.
But this is
They could
what Lisa
really a
Jewell
lot
does,
of
yeah.
Was
I
she
thought it was
looking
nice.
for somebody that didn't have tattoos?
Yeah.
And then she ended up with a tattoo.
Which was
They're
quite
not a
funny.
bit far-fetched, but it
It's-
was.
And in this day and age, if you're of a certain age, younger, you've mostly got tattoos. So she'd be on a loser.
She
as
would.
they say.
Very impressed that,
She really would at her age. Yes.
Yes.
I was very impressed that she sold the house and divided it 3 ways. I thought that was very, very good of her because she didn't have to.
Mm.
And, you know, it was the right thing to do,
Do you
obviously.
think? Or would the right thing to do be to shock them because they were murderers?
Oh no! Come on, it's a good story.
But she actually didn't. She was.
The morally correct thing to do.
Yeah, but what was
But she had no blood
this far on?
It was
relation.
the first time she had family, wasn't it?
Exactly.
No, she had an adopted family.
She did. That's true.
And
Yeah.
her mum went to live in France.
That's right.
Yeah, that was it. Yes, her adoptive dad had died or gone away. I can't remember now. But and then mum had just buggered off when she was only 18. So
Yeah, so she had the real family who looked after her when she was little, and she connected with them and had bonds with them, and yes, she didn't want to rock the boat.
So have you decided that Henry meant to kill them then, and that it wasn't an overdose by mistake?
Oh, I
Because
think
that's what he said.
I think
He meant-
Henry definitely meant to kill them. He's an evil little sod.
But
He meant to kill them.
he said it was a dose that didn't kill the cat, so he thought it would be all right with them. That's what he said.
Listen, anybody who wants to do harm to a cat is evil. Evil.
Absolutely.
Anybody who
there,
wants to do anything nasty to a cat, in my book, is complete, pure evil. Sorry, but no, he did mean to do it. Yes, he did.
He was
Okay to kill people, but not cats.
I think he's very warped. I think is Henry.
Totally.
Alison,
He's off the scale warped. Yeah.
And also, what about him locking them in the in the bedroom and stealing their phones and putting
Yes,
trackers
exactly.
in their
Exactly. He's
phones
weird
and
as an adult too.
Oh, he's a bad man.
And making his mum lose her baby.
Yes.
yes.
Hard to forgive.
Very, very troubled person. And I couldn't help but fearing for Finn when we knew that he was going to tag along when they went off to find him. I thought, oh, where's that going then?
Yeah.
I've forgotten
Yeah,
what
that was-
happened to Finn.
Another book.
Yes, I thought that sequel. Well, Finn's off doing his jungle safari things, isn't he? And they were going to.
That was it.
They were going to go off and see him, and Henry decided to tag along. And I thought, oh dear, watch out, Finn. This isn't going to end well.
He looked after the
Retribution
baby,
coming your way.
He looked after the baby, didn't he, Henry?
He did.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
He was the one that made the baby stay alive and looked after her.
Yeah, he fell for the bit, but I think at the end the idea was that he wanted her for himself, sort of thing, as the baby that he'd saved, and didn't really want Finn to get all the attention, and Finn had rejected him. But yeah.
No, Henry was too sanitised at the end because he's still evil, and we should have had one more chapter, and they should have gone and met Finn. And they
But then he would have wrapped it all up. But then he would have wrapped it all up, and you wouldn't have liked it because it would have been wrapped up through.
And they wouldn't have been wrapped up. That's just it. They could have gone to Africa, and Henry could have stabbed Finn through the heart, or or something, because that was it. He just turned into a nice curmudgeonly uncle. Henry's not like that. Henry is a.
I quite like the way it ended.
Yes.
It left it in the air, and it made you go, "Oh no, don't give him a ticket." And I thought that was quite good.
It wasn't that nice. He locked them in a room.
No, I thought it was a nice ending.
Pure evil. He is.
And I don't think it ended up with him being nice. I don't think it ended up with him being nice. I think it ended up with him really sinister.
Yeah.
When he locked them in the room, I actually feared for their lives. I thought they were going to die.
Yes, but why was he all sicky gooey nice at the end then? And Henry was. He was all sicky gooey nice.
Yeah, he was being
nice. And it wasn't him.
He was biding his time.
Yeah,
it does make you wonder, because obviously a lot of this, most of the story of when it was all going on, the cult, we only hear from Henry's telling of it. We don't know how much of that is
the truth.
Is truth, or whether that's his.
Well, yeah,
that's
really
to think about it.
I was like, anyway, until the other side comes out on them, they can be quite charismatic and attractive, which is how they get their victims.
Yeah.
I think he was a sociopath. He didn't have his judgment of what was ethics and what was right and what was wrong. It was completely.
And was he that way before all these people came in and made?
No, because he was only about 11, so he would have been really affected by it. So I was supposed to.
His parents were very ineffectual as parents, weren't they?
Oh, we meant to feel sorry for him because he had ineffectual parenting, and then the David turned up and completely destroyed the household.
I know. I don't think
we've forgiven him for murder.
No, I don't feel sorry for him.
No,
you just wonder whether he was already bad before they arrived.
Well, maybe he wasn't.
What's murder if it's accidental?
Doesn't excuse it.
I'm not making excuses for him, but maybe he was damaged by what happened to him.
Maybe it's the perfect storm. Everything, exactly. Everything went wrong.
Exactly.
And
in your teenage years.
The drugs, the hormones, the house, the family situation, everything all just conspired against him turning out a decent guy.
He fell in love, and these people arrived, and his whole life changed, and he stopped going to school, and everything went completely wrong. Maybe.
Well, my gut feeling is that actually he was a nice little boy. He was an overlooked little boy. He was a not terribly secure little boy, but I don't think that there was anything to indicate that he was anything other than just a normal little boy at the start of the book, and I think it just went rapidly downhill. But it was interesting, I can't remember who it was that was saying about the different sides of things, and that the incident where he and Finn landed up in the river, there were 3 different versions of that. And I said, that's another version, that's another version, and I'm still not convinced as to what was the actual truth and what really happened there. Yes, we know that drugs were involved, yes, we know that there was argy-bargy, but I still don't know really which
which story to believe.
Could we ask Lisa Jewell? Because she doesn't. My impression is she writes books for entertainment and so you can read and have a good read. And maybe she doesn't go into it that deeply when she writes them. Maybe it would be interesting to know what her thoughts were, because we're sort of picking this to pieces and analysing it, but it's not that sort of book that you analyse. Not like the last book we did. You know what I mean? Because it's she writes for a good read, and she had delivered a brilliant read. And I was glued from start to finish. I was a bit annoyed at the end, as I say, with the sanitised end, but I was really glued, and that's what the book is all about. And I think that's how she tends to write her books, from what I understand. I don't know, maybe we should tweet her and ask her. Maybe we shouldn't be analysing all the characters, because it's not that sort of book. Some sorts of books are like, you analyse the characters and where they come from, but maybe it's not supposed to be analysed like that. I don't know.
I think she purposefully left it kind of a little bit open to interpretation, really, and because she got Henry to actually tell the tale. I agree with Sarah. I think that he was a little boy that was neglected by his socialite parents, he was obviously wanting their attention and their love and everything. And then they have this house, and then they suddenly have these other people there, and he's getting no attention, and his life is being controlled by them. He hasn't got his parents on his own. He's got these other people, and he's getting more and more angry. He's in his teenage years, and then this Finn turns up, and he realizes that he loves a boy, and he loves Finn, and he's finding that very confusing. And then he finally finds this gardener guy who gives him some skills and things. And it's like he's got no control in his life, and it's kind of like he's seeking control. Mm-hmm. And I'm not totally convinced that he tried to kill them on purpose. I think he wanted them to escape.
No, not
I think he wanted to escape, and I think he gave them too big a dose. But it could go either way, of course. But the weirdness about locking them in, I think something about wanting to keep people to himself and again trying to get control. It was about being controlling. It's almost like, I think very often you find that abused children take on the traits of their abuser sort of thing, and not always, but sometimes. And it's almost like he took on some of that control from David, and I kept thinking Finn should have taken on some of that as well, really, but it obviously didn't work like that. Finn was a very different character than his dad, and he was obviously carried on rebelling all the way. But
he
then
was
probably
ill, wasn't he? He was really
probably would have run away if he'd not been ill, which of course Henry made him ill, didn't he? Because he was rejected. So Henry obviously was miffed enough to make him ill, which isn't a good thing. So there was obviously a bit of a, devilish side to
yes,
Henry.
if it was an accidental poisoning, there would have been a little bit of remorse coming from Henry, but in the way
don't you think Henry didn't want him to leave? The only thing that he loved that was left in there was Finn. Yeah. And he didn't want him to leave. But then, he slept with his sister. I mean, and that was a massive betrayal to him, wasn't it? So, and he was obviously punishing for that, but he didn't want him to leave. So that was partly what that was about, I think.
Yeah, that bit was quite horrific.
I think the book is about damaged people who are damaged, and I think it's interesting that we talk about the women as if they're weak, but the father, Henry's father, was weakness personified.
Yeah, he was completely useless. I totally agree.
He didn't protect his wife at all.
No,
they had a stroke though, didn't he? And
can you how they lost all their money at the start? Why they invited David in? Can you remember why they lost all their money? Because they were going to a private school, and then everything stopped. And I can't quite remember how they went from affluence to...
No.
Was it because Dad had a stroke or couldn't work or something like
but you
that?
don't immediately become poor if you have a stroke. I mean...
No, I got the impression that they just literally frittered it away.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. David was taking things from them and selling it, and then he was persuading them to give it away to charity in inventing it and using it.
So yeah, no, the parents were completely lost, just signed themselves over to David entirely, and I think he grew in evilness as the book went on.
But he'd done that before, that in France, or hadn't he, to another family?
But not, so he'd stolen and taken advantage, but not with the longevity and the, parasitic nature that he showed to that family.
Maybe the other people stood up to him because
they did. They threw them out, didn't they?
Yeah.
And of course, he was getting away with it, wasn't he? Because he was just.
And it goes to show, because David was, a threatening character. He was strong and powerful and, full of vigor when he arrived, and for the the early years, that actually he was physically quite an aggressive character. Sorry, I'm having IT issues tonight.
Yeah, and also
characters in it though, are there? I mean, there's David, and all the other ones are quite drippy. And Henry's strong in a surreptitious way, but all the other, they're all a bit all the other characters are quite weak. So
Ruth, do you not think that maybe that was by his design? He tried it in France and it hadn't worked because they stood up to him. So he'd surrounded himself with yes people and people that he felt he could dominate. And similarly, he'd groomed, you know, the family in as much as, oh yes, now this family, I think I could be far more successful here. I don't think they're going to stand up to me. And it's like a probationary period almost where he moved in, gave it a try. Oh yeah, this is going to work far more successfully.
Yeah.
And his wife ran away as well, you know, having homeschooled the children. And then Henry's mum getting pregnant, then his Sally ran away, didn't she?
I mean, Sally was homeschooling the children and it was all lovey-dovey in the garden and she was going along with it, but the linchpin there is David, and we actually in the book we know very little about him apart from what we see through other people's eyes. But he's the strongest influencer in it, I suppose.
Yeah.
I've just looked back and it says, my father never worked a day in his life, just sat around waiting for his father to die so he could be rich in his own right. And then they went house hunting, bought this massive house, and then filled it with objets, moose heads looming off parallel panelled walls, hunting swords, mahogany thrones, medieval style banqueting table. So he didn't ever work. He just
spent the money his father had earned,
then frittered it away
without investing.
Typical of second generation people who sons of
people who didn't have to work.
First generation money makers.
Well,
so it's very odd.
Would that be a problem to me?
It was a bloody good read, though, to be fair.
It was a really good read. I really, really liked it.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it's not great literature, not like what we read last month, you know, that did things. And I'm sure next month's book will, it better not make me cry like 1,000 Splendid Suns or I'll kill you all. But anyway, get ready.
Who's reading next month?
It's a good read. It was a good read. Can't fault it.
Who's planning
I haven't started it, but I will do.
I've got it. I bought it. I've got it on my Kindle.
It's coming to me. Might order Burnt Sugar and all, seeing as people are saying
I'm part way through Burnt Sugar, but that is a slower read because I have to keep. It's another one. I'm enjoying it, but I have to keep nipping back and thinking, where am I in this? And it's not as easy to read as what we've just read. And I think to be able to get through a Pyragon, I'm going to have to shelve it for a period. So that
I might order it. I've ordered the Aparogion, or however you pronounce it. So that's coming to me soon. And
This book says, this book will break your heart and make you rethink how storytelling works.
Oh my God, no! I read 1,000 Splendid Suns.
I think it's going to be a challenge.
I was crying real tears. It was awful.
It's not like that. It's not like that, Ruth. I'm just over.
Better not be, because I can't cope.
It will bring you to your knees.
No!
It's not an easy read. It's not an easy read for.
Oh God!
Really?
It's not easy at work, mate.
It's not an easy read emotionally. Do you mean, or it's not an easy read?
Emotionally, but the way it's.
Is this the Aparogion or the Burnt Sugar?
I don't want a Aparogion.
All right. Okay.
Don't talk too much about it now because we can have a really good discussion about it next.
Excellent.
But Sue.
Okay, so I've got to brace myself. Okay, thanks.
Sue, have we made a good choice?
I think we'll have a very good discussion about it.
Ooh, that's controversial.
Oh,
God. I'm enjoying it because there's sort of random little things going on. You think, where's that come from? And then read a bit further and it dovetails really nicely. And you think, oh, that's why he did that. So you're thinking all the time. And
Okay, so, I'll set aside time to read it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That clip I put up on the page.
Yeah.
It's worth watching that before you read the book.
Oh, really?
I did watch some of it, but it's quite a long clip, isn't it? I had to abandon it.
About 15 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I think I watched about 8 minutes of it, and
Yeah.
to...
And it's worth watching that before you read the book, I think, because then you think, oh yes, that's why he's done that. You know. And
sorry, I missed that bit. Which clip are we watching?
It's been posted on the page.
Oh, thank you. Okay, right.
Somebody talking about the book.
Thank you.
It's not the
I'll check
author,
that out.
is it,
Thank
Sue?
you. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so it's very, very interesting. And emotional and sad, and well, it's just got everything in it as far as I know.
Right, so I'm going to come on here
Would
and
you
kill you all
say-
because it's made me cry. Right, okay.
Bring
With,
sheep next month.
With both of the first two books, they were both what I would class as a fast read. I could really get into them, and I read them very much cover to cover, straight through. Admittedly, I was on summer holiday, so I had the time to do that.
Yeah.
So with Apeirogon, or I think we've got about 44 ways of pronouncing it so far. With the current book, I'm now back at work. I'm going to have to sort my time. Is it a fast read? Do I need to allow the full month? Because the other problem I had with Lisa Jewell is because I read it right at the beginning of our book month, I've had to really dig into my memory for tonight.
Yeah.
Me too, yeah.
It's not a fast read. No, and it takes some concentration, I think.
Okay, so it's not a fast thing before you go to bed.
It's 1001 chapters, isn't it?
Yeah, but some of the chapters
But
are
like you said,
it's long.
I've just found a chapter. It says back to school time. Next chapter.
Oh, good.
There's
So,
a reason why it's 1001 chapters.
Well, it must be long because it costs quite a lot for a Kindle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's good. I don't think it's about 400 and something pages, so it's not like, you know,
it's not mammoth
thing or Game of Thrones, but
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Just 3 minutes long. And you think, why has he said that? And then you read the next chapter or the one after, and you think, oh, that's where that fits, and it's.
Oh, I'm glad I've got the book, because I can't cope with Kindle because you can't flick back as easily, you know.
That's right.
Well, I'm glad I've got a real book. Yeah, good.
Okay.
Actually, one thing I will say about Lisa Jewell is I don't know whether it's her writing or whether she's just got a really good proofreader and editor, but it was really lovely to read a book of that genre that you didn't think, oh, there's another spelling mistake there, or
oh yeah,
oh, for heaven's sake, why is that
absolutely
error there? And it was just so lovely as a grammar nerd to just be able to read a book and not critique it.
I agree. Yeah, that was good.
all right, my lovelies, I'm going to have to leave you. I've got all sorts going on, but I shall look forward to next month, and I shall make my way through Apeirogon.
Not even going to try.
All right, take care. I'll see you guys next month.
Lovely to see
Bye,
you.
Rue.
Thanks for joining
bye.
us.
Bye. Bye.
Somebody wants to.
Right, Liz and I are going to have to go. We've got a family Zoom now.
I'm going to end the recording now. So thank you, Lisa Jewell. We enjoyed it.
We did.
Indeed.
Can you tweet the whole recording to her? I don't know.
I'm going to. Yes, I intend
Oh,
to.
you can. Okay, fine. Brilliant. All right. Thank you